Right, let's get started. How do you make inverted conditional sentences in English? Well, because there are basically three main types of conditional sentence in English, creatively called the first conditional, the second conditional, and the third conditional, that means there are three ways to invert conditionals in English. Let's look at the conditionals and how to invert them one by one. We invert the first conditional with the cunning use of the word should. So let's take a perfectly normal first conditional sentence, something like, if it starts raining soon, I'll probably cancel the trip. To invert this, you replace if with should, and because this is now a should sentence, you don't need that third person s, that third person s. Should it start raining, I'll probably cancel the trip. And because this is now a should sentence, we also don't use am, is, or are. These words become simply be. So, if there are any mistakes, we'll just do it again becomes, should there be any mistakes, we'll just do it again. Okay, let's move on. There are actually two ways we can invert the second conditional. One is with verbs to describe an unlikely future, and two is with be to describe an unreal present state. As you probably know, we can use the second conditional to talk about something that probably isn't going to happen. It's that unreal conditional. You know, like how everyone in 2016 said that Brexit wouldn't happen or that Trump wouldn't get elected. Those are situations when we could have used that tense because they were unlikely to happen. Some examples? Okay, good idea. If he knew the answer, he'd tell you. To invert the second conditional, take these two simple steps. Replace if with was or were, and change the verb to the infinitive form. To verb. Were he to know the answer, he'd tell you. So, back at the beginning of 2016, there were lots of people saying things like, were Brexit to happen, I'd be surprised. And were Trump to get elected, we'd all be surprised, very surprised. Then after that, we saw a lot of surprised people for a while. Anyway, let's talk about the other way we can use the second conditional. Those Trump and Brexit examples were very solid, real-life kind of examples with proper verbs like happen and get elected. But we can also use this conditional with be. If I was rich, I'd buy a giraffe. To invert this, just follow these three simple steps. Remove if, invert the subject and the verb, so I was becomes was I. If necessary, change was to were. Were I rich, I'd buy a giraffe. Okay, on to the third conditional. Let's start with our third conditional example. If we'd arrived sooner, we wouldn't have missed the beginning, and we'd understand what is happening. To invert this, you need to remove if, invert the subject and the auxiliary, that's the had bit. Had we arrived sooner, we wouldn't have missed the beginning and we'd understand what is happening. Okay, all good. Finally, let's take a look at how to make these negative. There's one simple rule here, and if you're German, you're going to love this, because that rule is simply add not after the subject. That's it. So, for the first conditional, should Batman come, we'll escape, becomes, should Batman not come, I'm in big trouble. Here it is in the second conditional. Were Barry a smart guy, he'd invest all his money in Gamazon Industries. Were Dariana not a smart person, she'd give all her money to Shady Nick. And with the third conditional. Had they told us about the dolphin, we wouldn't have come. Had Dariana not voted, the dolphin would have won. Simple, right? And that's it, inverted conditionals. Now, you want to practice all of this, right? Then good news. Click on the link in the description and you can test your inverted conditional skills in my online quiz. You can also read all the information that you heard in this video in our blog post on the same topic. Again, the link is in the description. Meanwhile, thanks for watching and ciao for now.